left off, we were trying out this problem. So we're going to do x minus h squared, h is 4, plus, don't forget that plus in the middle, people often do. It's an easy mistake to make, just be careful. Y plus 1 squared. Answer in your own minds or out loud or to your dog or to your sibling or whoever. Why is this one plus instead of minus? Good, good. Oh, there's my husband and my son. How cute. And then we have the diameter. So to find from the diameter, we can find out the radius is 4. We have to divide it by 2. But we can't just put a 4 here. What number will we put here instead? Answer it like Dora. Yes, 16. Good job. Good job. It's 16 because we square the 4. So this is our equation. We never do a binomial expansion on either of these. We never do like x squared minus 8x plus 16 or anything like that. It's too complex. No one wants that. This is the standard form. It's the form that gives us all the information we need for this circle. So we don't do that unless there's some other weird reason we'd want to. For right now, this is all we do. And then that becomes our answer. Okay, so that's like the first example on the first page. And there's another component of difficulty that we could do. What they can do is give you two, they give you the center and then a point. So the center point and then a point, and then they ask you to find the equation for it. So if I gave you, I'll do the one that's in the book, but has no answer. So number 2 of example 2. -3, -5 is the center. And then a point on the circle. I'll show this in a second. Sorry, I'm writing it as we go. And it goes through 0, 0. Okay, so this means that if I were to graph this, there would be the center at -3, -5. So that would be like somewhere in the 3rd quadrant. And then the edge of the circle goes through 0, 0. So this allows you to find the radius because they gave you a point, the center point, and a point on the circle. If they just give you 2 random points in the circle, you couldn't do much because you don't know where they are in relation to each other. Are they opposites of each other, so you're finding the diameter, or are they just like you're finding a chord between them? It's not helpful. You have to have the center and then a point on the circle to be able to do this trick or this process. So we're going to find the distance, the radius between them. x2 minus x1 squared is y2 minus y1 squared. Take the square root of it all. That's the distance formula. This is like the thing that we did in the beginning on the backside that I've erased. We just found out what that radius is. So we're first finding out what the radius is so we can plug it into our formula for the equation of a circle. -3 squared is +9. Don't forget that. -5 squared is +25. So this means that the radius is the square root of 34. Caution here for my estimators. Do not round this. Do not simplify this even if it can be simplified, although this one can't. But don't simplify it. Just leave it the square root, because when we take the formula, we're going to square r. We want 1 square root to make that happen. So let me show you what that means. Now that we know the radius and we know the center, we can use those in our equation for the circle. So we're going to replace 0, 0 now with x. X minus h. Wait, Mrs. Lyman, why'd you put plus? I thought it was like minus, and now you're putting plus. What's your deal? Why did I put plus? Tell your neighbors, tell your sister, tell your dog. Oh, I guess you don't have neighbors, you can tell. Okay. So we put plus because minus a negative is plus a positive. Whenever h or k is negative, then we put plus here because that minus a negative makes plus. Don't forget that plus in between. It's the most common mistake. Have I told you that already? I hope so. Y plus 5, quantity squared, equals, and then we do the square root of 34 squared, which is just 34. Make sure that that makes sense to you, because this is r squared, which is the square root of 34 squared, and the squared and the square root cancel each other out, so you get just 34. Here's your equation of the circle. Okay, that is all part 1 of chapter 10, 8.